Welcome to Beyond the Walls podcast. I'm your host, Kylie, and I want to share through personal experience and life lessons learned about personal walls that I have overcome and overcoming still, and to give you hope and tools to go beyond your walls too. Let's get started. So I woke up this morning to an email from Anchor, which is, they're the company that I use to record these podcasts. So they sent me this wrap up of 2023 and they put together this generated slideshow basically with all my stats and my listeners and the growth that I'd made this year and, just something to be able to celebrate. And I hadn't really taken time to think about it. I'm just so much in the moment of just what's happening right now. What do I need to do next? Day to day, the inspiration is some days it's high and some days it's low. And some days I'm excited and other days I'm discouraged and want to give up. And, it's a roller coaster. As I looked at it, all of a sudden I started thinking through oh, wait a minute. When was the first episode that I went out? I knew we've been coming up on a year, but November 28th, 2022, Romika and I posted 3 episodes. And on December 5th, 2022 was our 4th episode. So it kind of was like that. We did a kickstart. We put a couple out, one all at one time. And then the next ones began just the weekly, one at a time, baby steps. And we just took on the next month, one at a time. And so to now be able to be at the point where, when this episode goes live, I'm planning to post it on the 4th of 2023. So in 1 year, this is going to be the 52nd episode, which for the most part, there's been a couple of weeks that we took a break or things happened, but 52 episodes, that means that every week for an entire year, I have been able to follow through and maintain consistency, to show up every time, to do the hard things. And I can't tell you how exciting and proud I feel just showing up and following through. Something, if you guys, for those of you that have been longstanding listeners from the very beginning, thank you so much for doing that. But then how much I've been sharing of just how small I've lived my life, how inconsistent I've been, how terrified I have been to be consistent, to show up, to not give up when things get hard. And so it just was such an encouraging moment to just pause and think about it. These records that came up, they told me that I have listeners in 12 countries. I have had over 6,000 plays, more than 1,000 minutes of content, and 5-star rating. Wow, way better than I could have imagined. And I think what's exciting about it right now is to be able to think about it. That's I didn't even there wasn't a goal in mind, right? The goal just was, what is it that I have to offer? How do I make it happen? Just take the next step and see what happens. I think just taking so much time to just focus on the journey and not necessarily just overemphasizing or panicking in the numbers or the growth. Whether is it slow growth? Is it big growth? Is it meeting expectations? What's happening? And so I was like, man, I just wanted to take a minute today to just tell you guys how much I really do appreciate your support, how much it has mattered and has impacted my life, and just being able to be a platform that I can just share from my heart, to share from my experiences, and just how gracious you guys have been, that you have shared the podcast with your friends. You have liked or made comments. You have told me either in person or contacted me through social media about what a difference it's made for you and what you like about it, or if you have suggestions. And I just so appreciate it. I think the absolute hardest part of doing this podcast for me is that I don't actually get to sit down and talk to you face to face. I wish that I could see you watching it, right? That we could share the cup of coffee together and not just, I know you really are real people and you're doing it in your real life, but I want to do it together at the same time. And so I want to be able to put a face to the name. I want to actually know your names. I think, especially those of you that are being able to listen to me from Canada and the UK and Australia and India and Singapore and Mexico and South America. Like, hey, I see you. I don't know who you are, but I so appreciate that it's making a difference wherever you are. And I really look forward to figuring out how to continue to make great content, to keep being able to be a source of encouragement for you, and to keep showing up. So I really appreciate it. If you want to encourage me back, oh my goodness, please reach out. Feel free to send me a picture so I can know what your face looks like. I actually have an even better idea. I would love to meet with you on Zoom. We could have a free 30-minute session and have a cup of coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is and sit down like two old friends, get to know each other. You can tell me all about you. You can ask me whatever questions you have or things that you're afraid about, or things that just whatever is on your heart that you want to be able to share. I would love so much to do that. If you want to, go to my website, beyondthewallspodcast.com, send me a message through the contact, and you can just say, hey, let's have a virtual coffee date. And then I will reach back out to you to get it on the calendar. That would be awesome. But I'm so encouraged to be able to share this time with you. And thank you for sharing your time with me. I think, oh man, I want you guys to know that even more than like how cool these stats are for me from a business standpoint, which is really cool and amazing, like literally came from zero skill, zero past experience. It's more than I can imagine. And I do hope to grow. I'd love to make this a profitable business so that, I can make a difference for my family, and the more that I have, the more that I can give, like the bigger impact I can have. Can't imagine what kind of conversation I'm going to be having this time next year. But I want you guys to know that it's so much more than that actual outcome and results for me. It's so much more than just the numbers and the fans and the money. It really is just about trusting the journey for me. It's about being willing to believe in myself enough that I have something of value to offer, that we need each other to remind us of what we are capable of, that we can make a difference, that we matter. I want so much for you guys to know and to live the same way. I think what makes it easier for us to be able to celebrate our growth and our impact and our hard work without being arrogant is to be able to just, it's not about me, right? Like when it really is about community, it's not me puffing up and like, look how great I am. I'm literally standing like just in shock. I didn't realize it could be possible before. I think I was willing to just bet on that, to just be able to take a step out on faith. It is okay and it's important that we take time to celebrate our growth every day. We aren't stuck or limited to this calendar date system that we have, these 365 days every year, but it is an awesome system to just use, that at least one time in those 365 days that we mark, man, in this amount of time, I can look back and see what has changed, what is different, how much growth has there been, right? And it's important that we look back and we take time to celebrate, to acknowledge what has happened. How have you grown this year? What did you take on? What are you proud of? What small baby steps did you take? Even if you didn't take action like you wished you had, or you might have some disappointments, but don't discount what did actually occur. There has been progress that has been made. Where was it? What did it look like? Maybe it wasn't in this really obvious outward action, but maybe it was just a year where you stopped complaining as much, or you stopped judging as much, stopped fearing. Maybe it was a year where you just considered the possibility that maybe, just maybe, it could be different. If you can't see it right now, then please take time this week. Take the time to take inventory, take stock of your year, and give credit for the growth where it was. Give credit to the awareness, give credit to the struggle, give credit to the hope that you have something greater. Give credit to be willing to engage in these hard things. In episode 45, I went through a timeline of this past year and all the firsts that Romika and I have overcome together and individually through this podcast and this business. But, I want to take it a little bit more personal with you today. When I was looking at these stats earlier, it took everything in me to not tear up, but I've crossed over and now I'm just so excited and impassioned. I don't know that I will be met with the tears that I had earlier. But, this platform is not about boosting my own ego or proving my value through likes and shares. It doesn't really matter how broad the reach has been. It's not in those actual numbers and logistics. It's not in believing that I can do it better or that somehow you need me specifically. Lots of people share this same kind of information that I have, but I took this platform on because I believe in my value. I believe I have things that I can teach. I believe that I have learned lessons that have made me stronger and healthier and wiser. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't have other people in my life leading by example, for calling me higher, for sharing and challenging me and inspiring me along the way to believe in the unimaginable. If I didn't have other people doing for me what I'm doing right now for you, I wouldn't be here if other people didn't believe that about themselves too. They were gracious enough to share their knowledge, their wisdom, their lives, their perspective, their vulnerability with me. I wouldn't have the strength if I were relying on myself. I can celebrate this fruit because it actually has nothing to do with me. I'm actually just betting on God. He created me. He gave me my strengths and my talents. He is fully aware of my weaknesses and my sinful nature, and he still says yes. He still says that I matter and I have value. He created each of us to make a difference, to share our specific talents, and he calls each of us to believe in who he says we are and to share it willingly with others. I know that on this platform, I tend to share from a generic kind of way when it comes to, religion and God. But I want you to know that I do this intentionally because for myself, oh man, at my lowest of lows, I was so compartmentalized in my life. I kept God and all the spiritual things in this box and all the other things in another box. And I was so quick to discount and to minimize, to prejudge, to put shame and guilt and this religiosityness to the actual what I was doing. I was predetermining the outcomes and the solutions that I couldn't get the help or the breakthrough that I really needed until I could just see it from another angle. I kind of needed that over religious portion to get out of the way so that I could dig deep to really just what was really true and honest and vulnerable deep down for me. We can be so quick to already know, already understand. We can do that so quickly that what the outcome is that we're not actually even listening anymore. So I show up each week because it's my way of giving back, of not hiding anymore, of not giving any room at all to the bold-faced lie that I'm not good enough. I'm not the best. I'm not the only way. I've not arrived. I'm not perfect, but I am enough. And I'm leading by example for you. My mission is to show you the walls that you need to break down to believe that you are enough. You are not a victim in your life. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you think. You are capable of so much. I think oftentimes when we hear messages, we hear you're capable of so much more. We don't have to discount what already has been. You just are capable of so much, whatever that is. Your past does not define you, and your weakness does not disqualify you. You are your biggest wall. You have to be willing to take it down. I can't do it for you, but I can definitely show you how. If I could accomplish anything, would be to just help one of you to step out of that, to be able to face that fear, to face whatever it is that you've predetermined and pre-decided that is holding you back. Whatever it is that's disqualifying you of what a mature person looks like, of what a wise person looks like, of what a successful person looks like, as a worthy person looks like. There's so much that robs us in life from being able to fulfill the natural talents and abilities that we have, that stop us from being willing to grow and to step out and to accomplish whatever we decide we want to accomplish. What is it this year that you are ready to put down? What wall is in your way that you need to just start chipping away at? What needs to have a healthy boundary instead of a concrete wall of protection? There's so much that we can fear, and fear shows up in a lot of different ways in our lives. I think for me, my fear showed up in anger a lot. It came up in doubt. It showed up in criticizing and just fearing failure, fearing making a difference. Honestly, actually, I was afraid of success. It just felt like such a heavy weight. And I think that's what feels so good this time around and feels so much freer this time around, is because it's not even about failing or succeeding. Like, just me showing up is success. And I feel completely free from, like, I don't care what it ends up looking like. I'm just going to trust the process. Just going to show up every day and give it my all. I'm going to face the fears. I'm going to stop living small and choosing to be held back and just take on whatever is in front of me. I can do anything, but do I want to do it? Am I willing to do it? It's so easy for me to just immediately then just be washed with this wave of regret. I should have. I can't believe I didn't start. I can't believe I'm still here. Like, I can't believe I haven't made more progress. I want to be encouraging you today. Don't let that sabotage you to continue to not make the progress that you really want. It might mean you need to be clearer with yourself about what it is that you really do want. Maybe it means you do break it down a little bit more so that it can be tangible and realistic. Through these episodes, we've talked about how our healing is not linear. And I think it's important to realize that our growth is not linear either. We're always making 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's not perfect. The year prior, I had felt so great because I really took on a lot of my health, and I'd lost almost 30 pounds. Okay. So as awesome as this year has been, I put 20 pounds back on. It's not perfect. I'm not perfect. So hear me please say to you, do not use this time in this space to compare and compete. Don't disqualify all the good things that have happened because some disappointing things have happened also. My health journey is not over. It's not the end of the story for me. And I still have every day to keep working on my mindsets and working on my discipline. And, it's like in the episode that we talked about with rest, with all of those spinning plates. What is the area of weakness right now that I just need to keep leveling up, right? I'm not going to be 100% in every area, every day for the rest of my life. But it is just in the journey. How do we keep just showing up? And I think so much of the freedom that has come to me is when I'm not compartmentalizing all of the areas of life. When I don't compartmentalize and have all of these walls and try to separate. And, I think in my mind, I'm trying to separate everything out so that I can control it better and make it more manageable. When really, I think the freedom comes from just we are just one person behind that wall. We show up the same way in a lot of areas. And so being able to realize it's not just this one tiny ingredient that's going to fix it, right? But it's being able to just get deeper and deeper and deeper to the root. And I really believe it starts with just our identity. Who are you? Who are you using to define you and your worth and your value? Who says what you're capable of and you're not capable of doing? Anything is possible. You already are just worthy because you are. You are lovable just because you are you. All of these other things are just icing on the cake. It is fruit and results from being able to choose to just believe that truth. In those actions, we're able to show, like, I am no longer going to be held hostage by those bold-faced lies that you're not enough or you're too much of something else. You are just right, and you get to just get better and better at being just right. But the point isn't to just get better for ourselves. The world needs you. You have something very unique and special and specific that only you can do. Your community needs you. Your family needs you. Your work needs you. Who do you get to inspire and impact, and the difference that you get to make in other people's lives is such an amazing blessing that we get to experience. Can you imagine the difference that could be made if you allowed your light to shine in only the way that you can? If you want extra help, come join me for coaching. That's a great way for me to get to see your face and to meet you. I would love to spend actual real quality time with you, some interactive time. It really means a lot to me to be able to get your feedback, to know what you need more of, to know what you want to hear more about, to know what your questions are, your yeah buts, your concerns. I love to hear from you. I'm here for whatever support you need. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you would like more information about opportunities for coaching or more help outside of the podcast, you can follow us at beyondthewalls.podcast on Instagram, or check out our website, beyondthewallspodcast.com. Until next time, bye.